Alright, good morning everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Kano Tryhards Modern. So, I was going to play Tron this morning, only to find out that Tron won the Modern Challenge. So we're going to play this version of Mono Green Tron, the list that won the Modern Challenge. So without any further ado, let's try it out. Alright, round one, here we go. 2 pieces of Tron, 1 cantrip, but only Worm Coil to back it up. I'm going to try keeping this. We're on the draw. Okay. Opponent starts with a Mystic Sanctuary. We untap and draw Karn, Great Creator. Play Chromatic Sphere, pass the turn. Karn is something we can theoretically play even if we don't hit Tron here. Opponent plays a Field of Ruin, so we're probably not going to hit Tron. We get an Expedition map. So play Urza's Tower. Crack for green. Play map. Opponent remands map. Hang on. Almost auto-yielded through that. Go to second main. Replay map. Opponent Force of Negations. Pitching Factor Fiction. It seems like they're pretty desperate to keep us off Tron. Okay, we untap. Draw Karn. Play a Forest. Pass the turn. Opponent fields us 100%. Okay. Get a Forest. So we're pretty far off of Tron, but we're not that far off playing and hopefully resolving Great Creators. We do need to draw more lands, though. Alright, well, sometimes this happens. Opponent had a counterspell for Expedition map and a Field of Ruin. You can have the lands or you can have the Growth Spiral. You probably take the lands. Yep. Okay. So we know our opponent's holding a lot of lands. Alright, play map. Pass the turn. I'm really tempted to grab Tower and just keep the highest chance of top decking Power Plant. But I also know that if my opponent can attack more lands, they're going to attack Tower. Played another Misty. Alright, we're going to crack for Tower. Draw an Ulamog. Play Karn. Opponent has a Force. Sure. Pass the turn. Time to see if Karn's on Parade can get there. Okay, opponent plays Field of the Dead. Draw an Ancient Stirrings, so play an Ancient Stirrings. There's Power Plant. Rest to the bottom in any order. Play Big Karn. Okay, opponent has a Snapcaster Mage. We know that they're still holding 2 lands, and they've presumably drawn about 1 more. So I'm thinking my opponent only has like 2 non-land cards in hand. Okay. They counter Karn, crack Misty, get another zombie. They untap and pass through combat, presumably accidentally. Play a Wilderness Wreck. I'm gonna play another land, get a zombie, fetch, get a Mystic Sanctuary, putting Factor Fiction on top. And then they play Uro to draw Factor Fiction. And they're going to untap all their lands, playing another Scalding Tarn. Well, unfortunately, our hand is too full to play Karn, wish for Ensnaring Bridge. Actually, I haven't even checked the sideboard here. The sideboard on this one is going to be different. Okay. Opponent finds a Nexus of Fate, which probably means this game is over. Yep. This game is exactly over. We might technically survive another turn, but there's no way our opponent doesn't have more disruption, and I'm not going to sit there and wait for a Nexus loop. So, we're bringing in Veil of Summers, and I think we're bringing in a couple of Wilts. Okay, so what do we go down in this version? I think Walking Ballista. If I'm going to play Walking Ballista, I'm probably just going to wish for it. And then Worm Coil Engine seems a little less impressive. So we're going to try it like this. 2 Veil of Summer, 2 Wilt. Let's go. Alright, we'll play first. That hand is not keepable. We're going to mulligan. Perfect. This is Tron. We'll keep. We're gonna put back Ugin the Inevitable. I think that's the least impact of those cards. So play mine, play Chromatic Sphere, pass the turn. But it needs a Ghost Quarter or a Spell Snare to disrupt us actually having Tron. They could also have a Force of Negation. Okay, we draw another Sylvan Scrying. Play Tower, crack for green, Sylvan Scrying. Opponent Force of Negations, pitching a fact or fiction. That's pretty bad because we have no follow-up without another green source. It's kind of a gamble, but like, there's no way we're not doing that. So, we untap. We draw a card we can't play, so we pass. Okay. So, we're hoping to draw like Chromatic Sphere. Actually, if our opponent fields us, that helps. They play Ashiok, which is really bad. Is this opponent's deck just like F-Tron? We get a map. Play it. Doesn't do anything, because we can't search our library. We basically have to pray for top deck Power Plant, and our opponent not activate field for some reason. Opponent plays Ren and 6, so we're going to Field of Ruined every turn. We have a turn to go get, or a turn to draw Power Plant. Okay, opponent plays Scalding Tarn. And we don't. So I'll see you guys in round 2. Alright, round 2. Mine Tower Power. We're keeping. Actually, Mine Power Tower Karn. Probably the best hand you can have in Tron. I'm sure there's technically better ones, but ideally this hand makes 0 decisions, and we just win the game. So opponent mulligans to 6, mulligans to 5. Karn versus a mulligan to 5, let's see. Okay, opponent starts Windswept Heath. Cracks it, gets a forest, plays a Utopia Sprawl. On red. Please don't be Ponza. That would be so frustrating. Okay, play Chromatic Star, pass the turn. We will be able to Sylvan Scrying on curve for something if our opponent has a land destruction spell. Okay, opponent misses a land drop. We'll play a Power Plant, pass the turn. We don't have any instants, and if Chromatic Star goes to the grave, we draw anyway, so I'm just going to have 6 here. Okay, opponent plays an Arbor Elf. Passes, and they lose. We draw a tower. Get rid of all of their mana forever. Pass the turn. We even have a second Karn to back it up. This is disgusting. Opponent concedes. Alright. Game 2. Versus presumably green-red mid-range or Ponza. I don't know if we have any board for that, actually. Nope, just gonna run it back. I have a Walking Ballista for a dork, but this hand is not good enough. So we're gonna mulligan. This hand could be worse. I think I'm gonna keep this one. Probably gonna put back Ulamog. The opponent also mulligan to 6 and has no turn 1 play. Draw a Power Plant. Oops. Wrong one drop. Play mine. Play Chromatic Sphere. Pass the turn. Okay. Opponent plays a Windswept Heath. Passes. We draw a Wormcoil Engine. Crack for green. Ancient Stirrings. We'll take Expedition Map. Rest to the bottom. Play Power Plant. Expedition Map. Pass the turn. We could have taken a redundant Power Plant there, but with my luck, my opponent would Stone Rain and mine, and we would be screwed. Alright, opponent plays a Blood Moon. So now we just have to get 6 lands. Okay, we draw a Karn. Play Forest. Pass the turn. Did my opponent keep Blood Moon, no other action? Because that's not how you beat Tron. It might beat me here, but that in the general case, that would be a very terrible game plan. Okay, opponent plays a Seasoned Pyromancer, which I believe is technically a clock. Okay, they discard Bloodbraid, Blood Moon, giving themselves 2 1/1s. And they pass. We are going to tutor up Tower, untap, draw Chromatic Star, play Chromatic Star, crack for green, play Map, pass the turn. Alright, so hopefully if we draw another land, we should be able to get to 6 lands and play Wormcoil. And if we draw another land, we can back Wormcoil up with Karn's on Parade. Okay, opponent attacks for 4. We take 4 and go to 16. Opponent plays a Chandra, Torch of Defiance. Takes up Chandra. Exiles Pillage. Thankfully they are not casting a Pillage. We're going to tutor up another Forest. Untap. We draw another Tower. Play a Forest. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a Stomping Ground. Really have to hope they don't have any land destruction here. They have 2 looks to find it. Their Draw Step and Chandra. Okay, they just shock us, which I'm very thankful about right now. They get in for 4, they take us to 8. They found it. Unbelievable. Alright, well, actually we're dead. That Pillage killed us, because even if we play Wormcoil, our opponent will just be able to uptick Chandra, or alt Chandra, and kill us. They won't have to attack, which is one reason why Wormcoil is worse than Thragtusk in some situations, because while it gains you more life, and it gains you more life over time, it does not gain you more life immediately. Opponent has a second Chandra, so we're just dead anyway immediately. Alright, cool. So we are going to bring in Thragtusks over Wormcoils, because they provide approximately the same function, but gaining life more immediately is more important. Actually, we'll probably have some of both. I think I'm going to cut Ugin the Ineffable for a couple of Thragtusks, and we'll bring in some Wilts. Bring in 3 Wilts over probably Big Emrakul, a Walking Ballista. You know what, I'm only going to bring in 2. Try like that. Ugin's out for Thragtusk. Walking Ballista Emrakul out for Wilt. Alright, we'll play first. The hand's not particularly fast. We can try and do better. Maybe if we had a second land, but I'm going to go to 5. Alright, we're keeping. We're going to put back Wormcoil and Karn, actually. Start Power Plant Sphere. Pass the turn. If my opponent plays a Mana Dork, I'm going to shoot it with Walking Ballista. Okay, crack for green. Draw nothing. Shoot. You know what? It was so ingrained that I didn't do what I said I was going to do. I meant to click Walking Ballista. But because I had green mana floating, the casting prompt didn't come up, and it was just like, oh, so you want to cast Ancient Stirrings. Thanks, Clippy. It looks like you're trying to play Tron. Would you like some help? Well, hopefully my opponent doesn't just absolutely myrtleize me. If they play a Pillage here, that absolutely sucks. If they play Chandra here, I think we lose. If they play Blood Moon, there's a chance we can come back. Seasoned Pyromancer was none of those things I said. However, I think Walking Ballista killing Arbor Elf will get us somewhere. Opponent discarded 2 Lightning Bolts. We draw a Sanctum of Ugin. Play Walking Ballista, X1. Kill Arbor Elf, which takes them off of 2 mana. Pass the turn. So 4 mana Karn would be an okay draw. Mine would be amazing. When it gets in for 3, or 4, excuse me, we go to 16. Opponent plays a Stomping Ground tapped, and a Klothys. We draw another Power Plant. I got excited there for a second, till I realized it was the wrong Tron land. So we're going to play Sanctum. Pass the turn. Opponent exiles Walking Ballista. We take 2 damage, they gain 2 life. They play another Forest, and a Glorybringer. So yeah, we're dead as soon as they untap. This is partially due to my Walking Ballista play. This is majorly due to not assembling Tron. So, alright, let's see if we can come back for basically the spoiler. Go 3 and 2. Let's go. Alright, we'll play first. Gonna mulligan that. Much better. Okay, we're gonna keep, and we're going to put back Wormcoil Engine or Ugin. Both are good versus aggro, and Ugin is actually going to be castable, presuming we don't get a land destruction spell targeting a land of ours. I think I put back Wormcoil here. Start Power Plant. What is wrong with me? Turn off auto yields, please. Okay, saved. All of you getting heart attacks in the comments, you're welcome. Oh man, I'm sorry. Okay, should have kept that Wormcoil. It is mono red. Okay, opponent attacks. Top card of our deck is Chromatic Sphere. So untap, draw Chromatic Sphere, crack for green, draw a card. another Karn. Play Chromatic Sphere. Play Urza's Mine. Crack for green. Get a forest. Alright, pass the turn. Just have to top deck a tower and we're good to go. Chromatic Star on top of our deck. Not what we want to see, but I guess it could be worse. With an Eidolon, that means we're going to be taking damage off of playing this. So crack the star for green, try and get a good redraw here. Another mine. So play the mine, pass the turn. Okay, opponent does not play a land, meaning that they probably have a ton of damage in hand. We draw a power plant, we take 4, go to 10, tower off the top. Let's go. Opponent Boros Charms, strictly damage mode. Okay, I think we need a tower to win. Walking Ballista, Walking Ballista blocks and shoots down Eidolon, so play a power plant. It also, casting it for 4 prevents us from taking damage due to Eidolon. Okay. Opponent untaps. They bolt our face. Oh, we're just dead to bolt, aren't we? They have like a lava dart or something. That'd be hilarious. Skewer the critics. Yep. Well, if you know anything about me, we're always dead to bolt. If my life total ever hits 3, it's actually 0 because my opponent is holding bolt. Okay, so versus mono red, we're bringing in triple Thragtusk, and I'm going to bring in a Wilt. We're going to go down Emrakul, big Ugin, and one small Ugin, actually. Try like that. Alright, we'll play first. His hand would be good versus a lot of decks, but not mono red, so we're gonna mulligan. No, we're going to 5. Alright. We'll keep putting back Wormcoil, and I think Sylvan Scrying. Play an Urza's Mine, pass the turn. Any green source, any Chromatic Star, and Power Plant are all good draws here. So, let's talk about the competitive advantage for Tron right now. Out of all of the things we could draw right here, we have 8 chromatic cantrips, effectively. 4 of the land we're trying to hit, and forests. So what is that? Half of our deck? Half of our deck is a good draw here. Like, half of our deck enables us getting Tron. People complain about Tron being, like, too consistent, or too good, or too actually, well, what I'm really trying to say is people complain about Tron being too lucky all the time, but their entire deck is built to be excessively consistent, like absurdly so. I'm not going to take another Tron land, so we're either taking Sanctum of Ugin or another chromatic item. I think I take Sanctum. Chromatic Sphere or Star could be the correct choice there. Like if we top deck an Ancient Stirrings or something. So we can still draw Power Plant, we can still draw a chromatic item, we can still draw Forest, we can still, like, there's a lot. But we're trying to get up to 4 mana so we can play Karn and Walking Ballista. Okay, the top of our deck is Expedition Map, which is excellent. This means our opponent basically only has 1 turn to combo kill us before we drop a Wormcoil engine on them. Okay, so play Sanctum, play Map, take 2. And our opponent has 2 turns to deal 14 damage. They have 5 cards in hand, so that is completely possible. Okay, opponent plays a Sunbaked Canyon. They play another Goblin Guide. At this point, we might have to tutor up Blast Zone. Which would really suck, but, okay, they cast a Lava Spike. So we go to 11 and then take 6. And go to 5. With 3 cards in our opponent's hand and 1 redraw available off of Sunbaked Canyon, it's almost certain... Oh, I should have cracked Map in between those two. That was a play mistake, but I was talking. We're gonna go get Power Plant. Okay. Untap. We draw a Chromatic Star. Play Power Plant. We can play Wormcoil and then play Ballista on 1. We could also play Karn and downtick for something we can't cast. Playing Walking Ballista actually opens us up to just dying to a single bolt. So we're going to play Wormcoil, which negates all of our opponent's attackers for a turn. as far as damage goes, and we're not going to play anything else. Because we're going to try and play around Double Bolt. My opponent could have a Path, at which point this game is over. My opponent could also have an Abrade, which would very quickly kill us. Opponent draws. That's exciting, because that means they likely do not have what it takes to kill us. Bloodstained Mire. They might have it, but if their hand is just like all lands and one burn spell, and one Bjorn spell, as Z Frank would put it. Oh man. The mono-red player is constantly searching for more burn to kill his opponent. He is even willing to sacrifice his lands for more Bjorn spells. I'm sorry. Alright, true life facts about the mono-red player. We'll attack for 6. If my opponent has a Skull Crack, this game is over. Alright, we gain 6. Success. You sideboard. You play Karn, wish for Trinisphere. I think we just play Walking Ballista on 4, though. Do we sacrifice Sanctum of Ugin? Yes. Yes, we do. But we win! Okay. Do we make any further adjustments? I don't think so. Let's run it back. We have a massive life gain, so hopefully we just assemble Tron into that. I always liked, the Storm life gain spell in Tron, but I feel like it's kind of narrow. I definitely would run it all the time if my opponents were constantly playing mono-red, though. Because it just undoes all of the bolts that your opponent does in a turn, and then you gain 3 life on top of all of that. And generally, if you can undo enough bolts, the burn player is not going to be able to do enough damage. We're going to put back Ulamog. Our opponent mulliganed to 6, which is good news for us. Alright, opponent plays Wooded Foothills, cracks Wooded Foothills, and finds a Sacred Foundry. Okay, so tip for playing against burn, if they start land burn spell, their hand is probably bad. Burn's best hands generally come from land aggressive creature like Swift Spear or Goblin Guide, because the repeatable damage adds up very quickly over turns. Okay, they play a Goblin Guide. They get in with Goblin Guide and show we have a Karn Great Creator on top of our deck. That's pretty good, especially considering our opponent is mana screwed. So next turn, we could play Karn, wish for Trinisphere, and then follow that up with Wormcoil and Liquimetal Coating, and this game is over. Game's already over. Opponent concedes. So opponent sees Natural Tron and realizes they cannot beat it with a 1-land hand. And we're currently 1-2, so I'll see you guys in round 4. Alright. Round 4, here we go. We'll play first. Mulligan first. We have 2 spheres, a map, and a Tron piece. We're on the play. Opponent also mulligan to 6. I actually think I'm going to keep this, and I'm going to put back Ugin. So if we want to go for maximum Tron high rolling, we play Tower Map. So if your top deck luck is better than mine, you play Tower Map here, because you're going to draw a Tron piece, and then you're going to just assemble Tron on turn 3 and win the game. If your top deck luck is worse than mine or equivalent to mine, we play Tower Star here. Pass the turn. This does prevent us from cracking Map for a while, so maybe it was still correct to play Map, even with luck as bad as mine. But our opponent is on either Ponza or Elves. Okay, we draw a Wormcoil Engine. Crack for green. Draw a card. Ancient Stirrings. Play Ancient Stirrings. Another tower, a sphere, or a map. Well, I'm going to take a tower, and we're going to play a sphere. And that's only because I'm sort of afraid of a Stone Rain here. Okay, opponent plays an Overgrown Tomb. Elvish Archdruid. So they are elves, they're not Ponza. Untap. We draw an Ancient Stirrings. So, crack for green. Power Plant, perfect. Ancient Stirrings. Mine. Perfect. Rest to the bottom. Play a mine. Play a map. Pass the turn. So we will have 10 mana next turn. Best draw would be Ulamog. Next best draw would be Ugin. Then... Actually, best draw might be Ugin. Second best draw might be Ulamog. One of those, we'll say. This version's not playing O-Stone, so we don't have that out. Opponent has a Beast Whisperer. Oh my god, that is a lot of elves. Opponent gets in for 2. We take 2 and go to 18. Untap. We draw Karn, Great Creator. So play Power Plant. Play Karn. Down tick on Karn. We will use his ability. And I think we just take Ensnaring Bridge. Play Ensnaring Bridge. That's the turn. If they play a single other lord, they can't attack. Oh, I should not be auto-yielded when I'm going to crack map at the end of their turn. So hopefully they just play like an Imperious Perfect here. Or some other janky elf lord. Seven mana. That's a lot of mana. Lead the Stampede. I think this is the only deck that plays main deck Rexage, so this is not a way to win. This is a way to survive. Opponent is playing Marwyn the Nurturer. I don't know that that really means anything to us, but... Okay. We need to draw an Ugin. Like, immediately. Because, as impressive as this is, if we draw an Ugin, it's game over. It may not be game totally over. Nah, that would be game over. Okay, opponent kills Karn, hits us for 5. So no blocks. Question is here, do we try and tutor for something to thin our deck and to give us 12 mana? Or do we try to not draw land so we can empty our hand? I actually think we don't tutor here. Untap. We draw Ulamog. So play Snow-Covered Forest. And we can play a Wormcoil Engine, and so everything except the 2 power creatures can't attack. Or we can play Ulamog and exile a bunch of their 2 power creatures. Problem is I can't stop them from having mana, and I can't stop them from having a tutor, so if they just get a Rexage, we lose. It was probably better to get the Tron land and then replay, or and then play both Wormcoils. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play Ulamog. We are going to exile Beast Whisperer and Marwyn to prevent them from drawing cards and kind of stymie their almost limitless mana. Okay, pass the turn. Next turn, we can play both Wormcoils. So we just have to hope we're not dead again. Also, if our opponent plays a Azuri Renegade Leader, we are probably screwed. Shaman of the Pack. Alright, if my opponent has 2 Shamans of the Pack, we're dead. Yep. Alright, we're dead. That's how the Elves do. Alright. So, Spatial Contortion in. I don't think we want Thrag Tusks. I think we just bring in Spatial Contortion over probably 6 mana Ugin and run it back. We already have the cards to kind of fight this deck in our main deck. We just didn't draw them that game. Alright, we'll play first. This is not a hand for this. No. Mulligan. And no. We're going to go to 5. Okay, I can kind of work with this. So this one I will keep. We're probably putting back Sanctum Wormcoil. Okay. So if we draw any Tron land other than mine, we're great. If we don't, we still have Sylvan Scrying, and then we have Map. Opponent starts Llanowar Elves. Okay. We untap. We draw Walking Ballista. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Walking Ballista. X1. Kill the elf. Pass the turn. Okay. Opponent plays an Overgrown Tomb untapped. Plays a Llanowar Elves. Plays a Nettle Sentinel. Okay. We untap. We draw Emrakul. So Sylvan Scrying. Let's get... kind of want to get a Blast Zone, really. But get an Urza's Tower. Play Urza's Tower. We'll think about that Blast Zone. If my opponent plays 2 more 1-drops, I'm tutoring up Blast Zone and not the last Tron land. Probably. Okay, opponent attacks for 2. Okay, they play a Dwinin's Elite. Untapping Nettle Sentinel. They get a token. Natural state destroying map. Well then, how rude. We untap, draw Chromatic Sphere. So play Chromatic Sphere. Crack it for green. Play Chromatic Sphere. Crack it for green. Pass the turn. Now if we draw a Power Plant, this game is over, because we just drew Ugin, and we can exile their entire board. But we don't have very long to draw that last Tron piece. We do have a lot of things that finds us. That Tron piece, though. Opponent gets us for 5. We go to 13. They're getting to the point where like a single Elf Lord is dangerous. Okay, opponent plays a Beast Whisperer. We untap. We draw a Sanctum of Ugin. So play Sanctum, play Karn. Downtick Karn. We will use its ability, and we are going to get Ensnaring Bridge. Trinisphere versus Elves is great if they have nothing on board. It's terrible if they have any number of Elves, because they will take advantage of the mana tax more than you will. Okay. Opponent just puts everything at us. Sure. We take a lot. Okay, Dwinin's Elite. I was really worried that was Shaman in the pack and we were just going to die instantly. But we need to draw a Power Plant so we can cast Ugin. Power Plant. Got him. Play Ugin. Sack Sanctum. Get... I'm gonna get Walking Ballista, actually. -4 Ugin. Okay, exile my opponent's entire board. Downtick Karn. Get Sundering Titan. And pass the turn. I think we've got this game pretty well locked up, unless my opponent has a ridiculous sequence of Elves. But they only have 3 cards in hand, so I really doubt that's possible. Apparently they just drew Shaman of the pack. Okay, we untap. We draw Karn. Take up Ugin. Opponent concedes. Sweet. We got there. Okay, going into game 3. Now this is a problem because my opponent is on the play and I am not. Tron would much rather be on the play, because if you assemble Tron on your turn 3, it's effectively their turn 2 that you're playing at Karn. Much more powerful. No further adjustments, I think we're just going to run it back. It's not fast, but there's cantrips. I'm going to keep. Hopefully we get a little lucky. We're playing Tron, we have to. Okay, opponent plays Nettle Sentinel to start. We draw an Ancient Stirrings, which is a really good draw. Start Chromatic Star, so just in case they kill it for some reason, we still get the draw. If you have to leave one of your 1-mana cantrips on board, leave Chromatic Star on board if you have the option, for that reason. Okay, opponent gets in for 2. We take it and go to 18. Opponent plays a second Nettle Sentinel. Oh my god, if my opponent has a Heritage Druid, we are so screwed. Alright, crack Chromatic Star for green. Draw a card. Alright, Ancient Stirrings. Find me a Tron land. I said Tron land. We already have a land we're going to play. I'm going to take map. Rest of the bottom any order. Play a forest. Ancient Stirrings. Alright. We get a mine. Pass the turn. So this is going to be a turn 4 Ugin the Spirit Dragon, which is pretty good. Yep, they had it. Oh, great. So now they just play all of the Elves in their hand, plus probably a few out of their deck. And our hand was probably a little too slow. If only we had hit that mine on the first Ancient Stirrings. Okay. They play a Dwinin's Elite. They get an Elf. That's all they had. They attack for 4. I mean, like, we could still very much die next turn. But, if they don't kill us, we probably kill them. Okay. Opponent untaps. Nettle Sentinels don't untap until they cast something. They play an Overgrown Tomb. I think Shaman of the Pack kills us. Okay, opponent has Natural State. So we're just going to crack and get the tower. Oh man, Maybe I should have cracked on my turn to get the tower to prevent this play. I knew they were playing natural state. It's kind of a cosmic brain play if they combo off here. I could have technically prevented whatever is about to happen, but I definitely didn't think of it. If they just hit us for 8, though, that's not going to be good enough. Triumph of the Horde? Creatures you control get 1/1 and trample infect? What is this garbage? That is the silliest game versus Elves I have ever played. Yeah, we would have beaten them. We would have beaten them if I had cracked map on my turn, so my opponent could not natural state to get the mana they needed to do that. That's frustrating. But like I said, there's like no way I could have thought of that. I mean, I should have, but I didn't. Alright, we'll play first. Mulligan. Alright, we'll keep. Throwback Forest. Start Power Plant Star. Pass the turn. Hopefully we just get a good old-fashioned Troning for our opponent. Okay, opponent starts Mountain. Crashes through. Okay, so this is probably mono-red, in which case we have a decent matchup with mono-red. Okay, we get an Ancient Stirrings, so Crack Star for green. Draw a card. Ancient Stirrings. Take Karn, Great Creator. Rest of the bottom. Play Mine and play Map. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent plays a Mountain, really hoping for no Kiln Fiend. Okay, Lava Spike, and light up the stage for Mountain Lava Spike. Okay, we untap. Tower, please. Chromatic Sphere. So, tutor up Tower, play Tower, play Chromatic Sphere, crack for green, play Chromatic Star, crack for green, and pass the turn. Okay, opponent plays a Mountain. Probably casts a Lava Spike, but they crash through first, trying to hit a Monastery Swift Spear, I'd imagine. Manamorphose, still looking for a creature. There's a Swift Spear. And they burn us. We go to 14. Okay. So it's a little weird. We could play Karn here. We could hit Swift Spear. Karn will die to a bolt. We could play Karn. We could hit a land. Karn will die to a Gut Shot or a bolt. Or a Lava Dart. We can play Ugin. Ugin dies to literally anything our opponent could cast. We could play a Karn. We could play a Trinisphere. That's only bad if my opponent has an Abrade. Or we can play Ugin, uptick, and kill Monastery Swiftspear, because the only way they get around that is double Gut Shot. And that leaves the highest loyalty Planeswalker on the battlefield. But after... I was going to cast Ugin, but after enumerating those lines, I actually think Karn Trinisphere is better. So play Karn. Downtick. We will use his ability. And we're going to get Trinisphere. So this basically means our opponent is down to casting one spell a turn. If they have an Abrade in the main deck, and they have it in their hand, they're going to spend their entire turn abrading, which will not give them, unless they have a Gut Shot, will not give them enough damage to actually kill Karn, Great Creator. Okay, opponent plays a Mountain. Okay, opponent bolts Karn. Gets in, attacks us for 2, we go to 10. Now we do the Ugin play. Sweet. Leonard's is mine. We could play this Ugin, and that gives us effectively 6 mana. No, we can't do this Ugin and Karn. That would be awesome, though. Yeah. Play Big Ugin. Kill Swiftspear. Pass the turn. We might get to alt Big Ugin this game. Opponent draws a card. Plays a Fiery Islet. Manamorphose for 3 mana. Getting back 2 makes it one of the worst rituals ever. The worst part is it's still not even that bad. Okay, opponent Lava Spikes us. We untap. We draw Walking Ballista. Play Snow-Covered Forest. We can play Ugin the Ineffable, make a chump blocker, then play Karn. Uptick, shoot our opponent. Play Ugin the Ineffable. Tick up. Get a Sylvan Scrying that's actually a Spirit. Play Karn. Karn nukes a land. Alright, pass the turn. Tron lands and colorless Planeswalker Tron. Perfect. Opponent will likely only be able to cast one spell this turn. Alright, I lied. They can Manamorphose into a different spell. But we're ulting Ugin. Opponent bolts our face. Takes us to 4. Really glad I played the Trinisphere, by the way. Okay, we draw Power Plant. Alt Ugin. Yeah, opponent concedes. Man, that Trinisphere was brutal. It probably won't work this time, considering our opponent will likely have an Abrade in their deck, but they are playing the more combo-y version with prowess creatures, so it's blue-red Blitz instead of like Burn, but not sure that makes a difference in our sideboard plan. So we drop big Emrakul and probably small Ugin. And do we make any further adjustments? We could bring in Wilt, but I don't think our opponent has Eidolon, and I don't know that my opponent would be playing Blood Moon. It's possible, I just don't think it's incredibly likely. Alright, I'm going to keep this. We have a couple of looks to draw a second Tron land, and if we do, we're going to have an on-curve Karn Trinisphere, followed up with an Ugin again. Opponent did mulligan to 6, which is like really good for us. And opponent started Burn Spell instead of Creature, which is amazing for us. So we draw Walking Ballista, which is a great backup plan in the event that what we're trying to do doesn't work. And we start Tower Star. Pass the turn. We have 2 draws to hit another Tron land to have Tron on turn 3. We have some decent backup strategies. Opponent Bolt light up the stage, getting a Lava Dart. We untap. We draw Karn, big Karn, crack Chromatic Star for green, trying to hit the Tron land. It's another tower. We'll still play it. Sylvan Scrying. Let's get a Power Plant. Pass the turn. Okay. Opponent's turn. They play a Mountain out of exile. They probably Lava Dart. They do play a Soulscar Mage. They only have 2 cards in hand, which is pretty good for us. Okay. We untap. We draw another tower. Play Power Plant, play Chromatic Sphere, crack for green. We drew mine, so we're just going to cast Ballista. Ballista is basically going to just fog this Soulscar Mage for a turn. Okay, opponent plays a Fiery Islet, cracks to draw a card. So I'm trying to think about what our best line is, and it really depends on what our opponent does here. If they don't put any more threats on... Oh gosh, well, if they're going to use their Abrade, I'm going to go for the Trinisphere plan. I think it's unlikely my opponent has 2 Abrades in their hand. Okay, opponent gets in for 2, takes us to 11. We untap. We draw Wormcoil. Does that change our plan? We have 10 mana, so we could play Karn and Wormcoil. Opponent will only have 3 cards in hand. It is not likely that they can kill us through both a Karn and a Wormcoil. So we're going to do that. We could play Ugin, uptick on Soulscar, but... Alright, opponent scoops it up to a Wormcoil. They can't beat a Wormcoil. Alright. So we go 2 and 3, which is unfortunate. We got a little unlucky in some of the earlier games. And we lost the Elves game because I was not big brain enough to see the line. Which I don't think anybody should blame me. I think that line's pretty esoteric, but I guess it was technically a possibility that I should have evaluated and didn't. So anyway, beware of Natural State, because with 2 Null Sentinels and a Heritage Druid, it's actually Dark Ritual. Yeah, so anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this version of Mono Green Tron. This is the one that won the Modern Challenge. It took like 1st or 2nd place. And yeah. Be on the lookout for more Kano trying hard in Modern, along with limited content and jank, Modern, and other constructed formats. The next video after this one will be a limited video. If you like this video, please leave a like, drop a comment, I'll respond. Subscribe if you're so inclined, and remember that if you want to catch me streaming live, I stream Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch. Same username on Twitch as you can find me on here. And yeah. You're all wonderful human beings, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye!